In recent years, certain food trends like Meatless Mondays have become mainstays in American culture. But for the most part, it's really easy to get off track when jumping on board with the latest trend. That's why nutrition expert Dr. Wendy Bazilian recommends starting with small shifts toward healthier eating by incorporating more plant-based foods into meals instead of diving headfirst into a complete diet overhaul. Dr. Bazilian joins us this morning to talk about how to take simple steps toward eating more plant-based foods without making drastic changes or even giving up meat. Good morning, Dr. Bazilian.
Good morning, Chris. It's great to be with you.
I guess my first question would be, why should people eat more plant-based foods?
Well, you know, compared to a typical American diet, a plant-based eating approach, and you said it, that doesn't have to mean no meat, but a plant-based eating approach tends to have more fiber and more unsaturated fats, and oftentimes it's richer in nutrient density, more vitamins, more minerals, and more phytonutrients. Those phytonutrients are what come from plants. That's what phyto means.
We see you've done some shopping there. What's in your grocery bag?
Yeah, so when you go shopping, you know, to incorporate a more plant-based eating approach, we basically are thinking of like, let's add more plants. And that includes fruits and veggies, beans, nuts, whole grains, and that's exactly how you can focus when you go shopping. It may not be surprising when you hear plant-based. You think, yeah, fruits and veggies, but don't stop there. So start in that produce aisle. You know, get your berries for your snacks and your breakfasts and your salads. Get your greens and your tomatoes and your avocados and build your fruit bowl. But then dip into those aisles, and you know, you do have to pay attention to the ingredient list to make sure they're recognizable whole ingredients. You can pronounce them, but get some, you know, dried fruits, get some herbs and spices, which are technically fruits and vegetables, and they're rich in flavor, but also phytonutrients. And make sure you get some nuts. You know, nuts like walnuts are a very convenient source of plant-based protein. And walnuts are uniquely comprised of polyunsaturated fats, and the only nut with omega-3s as an excellent source. They have 2.5 grams, which is a lot per serving, which is 1 ounce. But some of the dried beans, of course, you want to pick up, or if you're not going to soak your beans, which some people say, I'm not soaking my beans, look at least for low sodium canned beans that are BPA free. That's something you can look for on the label. And then shop for whole grains, your oats, your quinoa, your whole grain pastas, so that you can round out a plant-based eating pattern, whether or not you want to include some fish and some poultry and dairy and eggs. So plant-based eating when you're shopping is really just making sure you cover the whole grocery store with that in mind. Where are those plants, and you know, how can I build them up into a healthy and delicious day?
And real quickly, what are some tips for healthier eating that anyone can follow?
Yeah, so one of the things I always encourage is like, keep it simple. So maybe you choose one meal or one food or one day of the week. One thing that I always say is, you know, to encourage people to have a fruit and or vegetable at every meal. So have some kind of plant at every meal. So whether it's, you know, having some dried cherries in your oatmeal in the morning, sprinkled with some walnuts, or some berries on your salad at lunch, salad or soup, you know, that may accompany your salmon or chicken at dinner. You know, build some kind of fruit and or vegetable and plant food at each and every meal. Another thing that I always suggest is to focus on those heart-healthy fats, the unsaturated fats, as a way to squeeze out some of the saturated fats in your diet. Not all saturated fat is bad. You can tolerate it and can be healthy in small amounts. But things like avocado, which is a monounsaturated fat that you might spread on your sandwich instead of mayonnaise, or using olive oil instead of butter, and incorporating nuts into your diet on a regular basis, are really nice ways to support the unsaturated fats kind of coming in for the saturated fats.
And finally, where can our folks, our viewers, go to get more information?
For lots of tips and more, it's a whole toolkit about plant-based eating. You can go to walnuts.org, and there's a bunch of great recipes, including one of my favorites where you chop some walnuts and you coat it on a piece of salmon before you bake it. So you can find lots of great information there.
All right, Dr. Wendy Bazilian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, Chris. Be well.